Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode on the show, Control or Be Controlled, a podcast designed to help you start thinking differently and take control of your life. And I remain your host, Darlington. Today's guest is today's guest is Dr. Victoria Rader, affectionately known as Vica, a pioneer in quantum personal development and the founder of U2, Why U2 Shine. Victoria, welcome to Control or Be Controlled.
Thank you so much for having me today.
All right, so I would like you to add a little bit to that introduction. Mm. Victoria, I said I would like you to add a little bit to that introduction.
Oh, I'll add a little bit to the introduction. Well, I think that what comes through is the professional side, and I think I live for the human side. I am a mom of two remarkable adult children. I am a dog mom of four very cute, stubborn, and different breeds, puppies that were all rescued. And I guess one was inherited, three were rescued. And I love to travel. I play tennis competitively, and I'm a very faith-based person with curiosity for quantum mechanics. And I feel that my mission in life is to remind all of us that we indeed, as Christ has said, have come to live a life and to live it more abundantly. I think that is probably where the quantum personal development is born from that desire to remind everyone to value life fully and completely and to give tools and skills to do so.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Victoria. So, you are known as a pioneer of quantum personal development. For people hearing that term for the first time, what does it mean and how is it different from traditional personal development?
Many years ago, there was a author whose name was James Allen, and he wrote a book, As a Man Thinketh. And many consider that to be one of the beginning books in the personal development. And in that book, correctly so, James Allen writes about mind over matter, about how thoughts indeed create the environment for emotion, how emotion then moves body into action and how those actions bring results. And so he teaches how truly what we think is what we become. And interestingly enough, though, the title of the book comes from Solomon's Proverbs that were cut short because the full teaching is, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So, unfortunately for all of us, the most important thing was taken out, which is the heart. And we became so mind driven, so brain controlled, that we overlooked the purpose of the development and the growth of the development. We developed away from love. We developed away from heart-centered service. And we developed a whole bunch of very successful on paper narcissistic leaders that started using the mind control as a way to manipulate the masses. And if you think about it, personal does not mean relational development necessarily, right? It's personal. It's your persona. It's your ego identity. And so by returning it to the truth of development of who we are as particles of one quantum field, as children of God, we all share this oneness. And so quantum personal development reframes us to develop in oneness with all of life, in support and collaboration, and not in exhaustion and competition. And so while it is true that it is mind over matter, it is even more true that it is heart over mind over matter. And it is now proven scientifically that the heart, biologically, just like the guts, has the same neural cells that the brain does, and that it is the signal from the heart that dictates the flow of the signal in the brain that then goes to the rest of the body. And so important is our ability to learn to surrender to love. And I name love as life originating, vibrant emotion. It is not just romantic love, it is the energy that created all of life. If it adds to life, it is love. If it subtracts from it, it no longer is. And so, as we surrender and rediscover the true meaning of life as living from the frequency of love, our mind starts creating loving thoughts. Those thoughts indeed heal and restore our inner worth. And then we're developing from the place of worth instead of the place of lack, trying to chase the worth. Because so many people in traditional personal development keep developing, keep accomplishing, keep achieving, keep accumulating, only to feel empty inside, only to ask at the end of it all, what was that for? As opposed to reclaiming the worth fully and completely, and then from the place of that, bringing your talent into the world.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Victoria. So, moving on, your work with you, Why to Shine. I keep calling it You to Shine.
It is you,
Why?
Dush. You keep calling it
Okay,
correctly.
okay, I'm calling it correctly. Okay. Your work with You to Shine is built around helping people find freedom. What does true freedom mean to you, and why do so many people struggle to experience it?
There are many different levels of freedom. Our core subscription leans into quantum freedom, which truly is a freedom to live a life as the divine, as God, your creator, as the universe has coded you to live. I believe true freedom is doing what you're called to do in a way that you're called to do without forcing yourself to hesitate because of lack of time, energy, or money. It is said that Daria Cordova is actually somebody who has said that wealth is access, right? When what financial wealth gives somebody is access to things that people that don't have financial freedom cannot access. While quantum freedom gives access to all of the resources, not just financial ones. We have an infinite bank of information, of inspiration, and of ideas. After all, money is simply a reflection of somebody implementing the ideas in the proper way. And so when you understand that genius is free and that you can at any point through different sets of skills ask and receive the direction and to follow it, to have joy, to have friendships, to be free to think and feel as you choose to think and feel. So all of those are experiences of freedom. But in the context of your podcast, freedom lives in the little gap between a stimuli and response. And what I mean by that is that something happens outside of us that triggers a human reaction within us. Let's say something or somebody did something that makes me angry, or I say it makes me angry, I get angry. And then there is the pause. And in that pause lies my freedom. What will I do with that anger? And how long will I stay in it? And so the internal freedom is a way to respond to external triggers. The shorter the external trigger controls you, the more free you are. You will always have a knee-jerk reaction because we have this physical body that is programmed to react. But some of us stay in that reaction. We stay a slave or a prisoner to the reaction to the external trigger. The true freedom is, regardless of what the external world is doing, whichever buttons it is pushing, you are staying focused on the internal creation of the world that you want to live in. And there is no substitute to that internal freedom. When we are free from being offended, we're truly free, and we live in complete deep peace. Think about it. If you got to a point that no matter what people say to you or about you, you choose to pause and as if take a shower, an energy shower, and wash their opinion off and remain the whole, the confident, the worthy you. That is an internal freedom that has no price tag to it. From that internal freedom, you can start creating what I call quantum leap opportunities. Once your peace is undisturbed, you start using mental faculties of perception, of intuition, of imagination, of reason, memory, and will to create the reality you want to experience. You first guard your freedom internally, then you create internally, then you nourish that creation internally while taking steps in your daily life. And that is the
All right.
process through
Thank
which you
you,
can create a life
Victoria.
of your
So
dreams.
many people carry pain, fear, and past experiences that shaped how they see themselves. How can someone begin transforming those experiences into purpose and personal power?
It's I've mentioned those 6 faculties that create reality. One of those faculties is memory. And so we will either remember through trauma and regret, or we will remember through gratitude of lessons learned. And so when you carry layers of trauma, the first step is actually energetically healing and grounding the trauma so that your nervous system can be rebooted and restored. We do a lot of nervous system healing in quantum freedom through energy healing. Then you practically want to start releasing the layers of resentment or pain through practical forgiveness. And I don't mean theoretically saying I want to forgive or I'm trying to forgive. Forgiveness is a tricky part for our subconscious mind because until it is asked for forgiveness, it will hold on to that energy. And for almost all of us, the people that harmed us have no ability or desire to ask us for forgiveness. Or maybe the trauma happened in our childhood and they are no longer in our life, or maybe not even any longer alive. So we've developed the technique as to where you write a letter to yourself from the person that harmed you. This is very important because even though your conscious mind knows that you're the one writing, your subconscious mind does not. And so the letter would be, if I were addressing myself, and let's say pick a name from Marcus, who, let's say, harmed me many years ago, I would write a letter that would say, Dear Vica, please forgive me for not being able to ask for forgiveness. That is the first refrain. We actually need to be able to forgive somebody for their inability. Then you will write, what I did was wrong. You don't need to explain. This is not an explanation or excuse letter. It is a letter of true forgiveness to you. So what I did was wrong. It should have never happened. Please, please forgive me. Signed, Marcus. So I address that letter to myself. I write it out. I will then read that letter out loud. And when I read it out loud, the cells in my body, the subconscious mind, does not differentiate between me or Marcus having written that letter. Those cells in my body that have been storing trauma are now asked to release it. And so once I read that letter, I will say, I now choose to forgive. I forgive you fully and completely. I let go. This exercise is so simple and yet so powerful that we've had so many letters from our clients. From one client who actually commented on my TEDx talk that for many years he was unable to forgive a false accusation against him. He became addicted to alcohol and gone to many meetings, done much therapy, and nothing seemed to have worked. And yet when he wrote this letter to himself, as if from the accuser, two things have happened. First, he released all trauma. But secondly, within a short period of time, the actual accuser wrote to him the real letter. I, of course, cannot promise that the real letter will reach you, but I can promise that doing this exercise will free you from the energy that is blocking your creativity of a new life. And why is that? Because the word forgiving actually consists of two words, for giving. It is for giving away the heaviness, the resentment, the pain, the block. You're not absolving another person from consequences. You're simply no longer carrying their consequences in your energy. And at the same time, forgiving is for giving space, for hope, for light, for ability to start creating a life with new energy. And so that would be my very first suggestion. Ground the trauma through energy work and through this forgiveness exercise.
Thank you so much, Victoria. So, faith plays an important role in your message. Tell us how your relationship with God influenced your understanding of healing, purpose, and possibility.
To me, God is the ultimate purpose and infinite possibility. You know, I actually have just finished a book, my latest book that I will be going into print once it's out of typesetting, that is called Follow Me. And in Follow Me, I take the fact that, you know, Christ has 131 names in the scriptures. And I take each of those names and I line two scriptures that go with that name. And then I take the underlying quantum mechanics principle that actually explains how the world operates through that name and through the science of that name. And then I do a daily decree as an activation for a person to align with that name and live through it. Just prior to this book, I had a very miraculous experience, actually, where around the energy of the new moon, the Spirit prompted me to create a journal that is called Quantum Me, that was released, and I held it in my hands in short 2 weeks, in one cycle, from new moon to full, 2 weeks, because the God moved through me for that journal. And that journal is a system of aligning yourself to God's divine vision for you and through you. You see, I think goals are great, and I think goals get someone out of shame or depression and into action. But goals can also become very limiting, because I genuinely believe that God's vision for us is far greater than any goals we can set for ourselves. So in Quantum Me, I teach how to align every morning energetically with God's vision for you for the day. And then you create the day from that vision. I've done so for over 2 decades, and this system is responsible truly for infinite miracles in my life. One of the tender personal miracles that actually was described in a short fragment that I had in a Zero Limits movie was the heart healing of my nephew. He was born with 5 heart conditions and was scheduled for surgery in short 24 hours after his birth. And yet, through much communal prayer and fasting, and through applying quantum principles of healing, notice neither one is better or worse. They all come from the same Creator. We have witnessed miracle after miracle as all of the conditions have resolved. And his file at the end of the year, when he was a
All right, thank
completely
you so much,
whole and
Dr.
healthy boy,
Victoria. So,
stated
for someone listening
medical
today who
miracle.
wants
And
to
this is a
step into
story
a
that
new,
will be 10 years old as he turns 10 years old in a couple months at the time of this recording. And that is the personal, journey. And I've had a privilege of witnessing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of small and huge miracles unfolding as a way of living in the aware quantum alignment with God's vision for each one of us.
all right, thank you so much, Dr. Victoria. So, for someone listening today who wants to step into a new level of freedom and personal growth, what is the first step they can take?
The first thing is to know where you are, and because to know where you're going will depend on where you are. And the very first step for that is acceptance, accepting fully and completely that what has happened to you or was caused by you did not make you unworthy of freedom or fulfillment, but if it was limiting, it was simply unworthy of you. So no longer denying your weakness, but surrendering it completely into divine grace. The next step would be honestly to grab, for some reason, of 28 books that I have. This Quantum Me journal keeps coming to mind. If you go to meseries.love, and you've got to have access to Amazon. If you don't, I'm sorry. Email to me and I'll send you a free PDF. But the journal itself is charged to support one. And so what it will do is it will help you to set your annual theme, your monthly theme, and your daily steps. So you need to know where you are and accept it. You need to decide where you want to go. Some of us have been taught not to want anything in our life, and so we don't know what we want. And for those that are struggling with knowing what they want, I often do an exercise where you write out everything you would like, and then what you would like the most, and then what outcomes you want. And the outcome is, how would you like to feel? Most of us want things because we think they'll make us feel a certain way. And then the outcome you want the most, like what is the feeling you want to have the most? And then live every day as if you already have that feeling in your life. You have to become the feeling first. You have to feel free before your life shows you that you're free. That truly is the biggest quantum leap that any one of us has come to learn in this life.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Victoria. Thank you for joining us and sharing your wisdom, your story, and your perspective on transformation. The message reminds us that growth is not just about changing what we do, it's about reconnecting with who we truly are, releasing what no longer serves us, and moving forward with faith, love, and purpose. So for those who want to learn more about your work, why you to shine, and explore your books and programs and resources, how can they do that?
The easiest way is to go to You to Shine, YU, number 2, shine.com. There's no O, YU, number 2, shine.com, and connect through our site. You could also follow me on Instagram at Vica, VICA underscore Rader, RADER.
All right, thank you so much. Once again, I really appreciate you taking out your time to be here today. Thank you for making this episode a very special episode for me and for my audience.
Thank you for having me.